You fill in the tags, please. Amy McGrath, Charles Booker, Chuck Schumer, Corona, yada yada. It is. Just gonna wait for an audience here. Don't say anything. Yo, Adam. Yo, yo, yo. Let's get this party started. Skipping the countdown. It's a little late. See how many viewers we could get. 33 viewers watching. Press that share button. Great coverage yesterday. Thank you, Adam. I'm glad some of you saw that coverage, considering YouTube's shenanigans. 51 people watching. Press that like button. Press the share button. Let's get this out to more people. Let me do status quo. Jamal and Charles winning their primaries is crazy. Do happy. I'm gonna do happy today. Dick Cheney sent out a tweet, so we'll have a mix of happy and rage all in one. Let's wait till more viewers get in here. I'd be even happier if we could make some money on the GoFundMe. Just saying. $128 away. $128 away from 110,000. And boy, do we need it. Do we need it. So, if anybody wants to get us started in the GoFundMe, I'll give you a special shout out here today. I guess there's a lot going on in the news, for sure. We have Jen joining us. Did a great video earlier. How you doing, Jen? And I'll leave you alone right now so you could do the logistical things. Jordan got a haircut. I did. Hi, Jordan. I missed yesterday's broadcast. Sorry. I don't know if I can accept that apology, Justine. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we keep our live streams up so you can watch it back. And we're going to have a mashup of that we'll publish too. Quite the broadcast yesterday. I was not expecting what I saw at Occupy City Hall in New York. So we will see if it continues for sure. Right now, from what I was there yesterday, but right now there's definitely Jen is low. Jen, can you boost your audio? They say. Jen is muted? No, she's not. All right, hold on. Filters. No. Start talking now. See how that goes. Keep talking. Keep talking. Full sentences. What'd you have for breakfast? Okay, that sounds good. Hold on. Let me see something. Jen. Hold on. Speak.
Hello. I actually haven't been outside today, so I don't know what kind of day it is. I presume warm.
Keep talking.
Did a report earlier on the alt-right, which is super scary and very vicious and just horrifying. And some of the we're actually getting
right. I fixed it. All right. Cool.
Good job.
So we got 120 people watching on this Friday. So please, please, please smash that like button. Let's get this to as many people as possible. You know the drill. The more people that press like, the more people that we'll see. Also, if you could be so kind, give us some support. I'm not going to lie. We need it. We just dropped quite a lot of money on the live view and some other things we had to purchase. So if you're feeling inclined, leave a super chat or a GoFundMe. We are $128 away from hitting the $110,000 mark, which would be really, really nice to hit that lickety split. Also, we are live. Are we live on? Oh, no, I didn't press it. Ugh, I'm slacking. Let me put us live on the Twitter and Twitch and Twitter. So we're live there. So I wanted to start, and full disclosure, Jen has no idea what we're talking about. So
None.
that should be exciting. I'm pretty excited, too, because I think I've evened it out where, I don't know if you saw my Lee Camp interview where he looked like Sasquatch compared to me. So it's hard in the framing because I don't want the flag. I want the flag in there. But to have the flag in my frame, I have to stay kind of lower on the screen, and then the guest is higher than me. So
I think you need to just move the flag down so that people can see like the corporations, but it's the stripes are behind your
Jen,
head.
I have breaking news, Jen.
What? The mask came.
I have breaking news
Yay!
for those in the audience.
That was so fast.
I'm going to be live broadcasting with this on. If I figure out how to wear it, hold on. Can you see the status quo?
Yeah. Well, you got to turn your head a little bit. It's just on one side. The other side.
There we go. So
Yay.
the status quo mask has arrived. I will wear it throughout the broadcast.
No.
I love it. So, Windy, yes, it does have a valve. Windy Melly getting us started in the super chat. I'm going to be like this the whole time so you can see the coup. So thank you, Windy Melly. How much did this cost us, Jen? $20?
They were $20 a piece. We got 3.
So if the audience wants it, we'll have to sell it for a little bit more like that because we'll have to mail it out and the whole spiel. So let us know in the super chat who wants a status quo mask. And
Who wants a mask?
We'll make your dreams come true.
Maybe we can make like a bulk order deal.
A bulk order deal?
Yeah, just with the person who made them.
I like it. All right, so, and I'll take this off when I can't breathe. So, don't wear the mask. Way to be a buzzkill.
Some people need to read lips.
That's true. Some people do need to
Very
read
true.
lips. So, I don't know if you saw this, but Matt, right now, Charles Booker is in the lead in Kentucky. Fingers crossed because they've rescheduled a few times, but I'm supposed to interview him now Monday. So that would be nice if I could interview him on Monday. He's in the lead. And Matt Jones tweeted something out that I found interesting. Matt Jones is was a Kentucky sports broadcaster, very popular sports broadcaster in Kentucky. And he was considering running in the primary a while ago. So he actually met with Mitch McConnell. This was before Booker announced his run. And it's met with Chuck Schumer. And it's very illuminating. So this is what Matt Jones tweeted out yesterday. Again, was going to run against Amy McGrath to try and win the Democratic primary. And this is what he tweeted out. With news that Booker has pulled ahead in the Senate primary, it might be a good time to revisit my meeting with Chuck Schumer in Washington. I was meeting Schumer about the race and to talk about his selection of McGrath. So I don't know if you're going to be able to actually read the parts that he put out there, but I'll read some of it to you because I think this is very instructive to see how the Democratic establishment seems to intentionally try to lose. So he wrote, let me skip that part. Okay. I was met in D.C. by a small team of trusty advisors. Let me see if I could. Here we go. I was met in D.C. by a small group of trusty advisors. As we grabbed a quick bite down the street from Schumer's office, they go over the talking points. He is already committed to Amy McGrath, but the senator hates contested primaries and does everything possible to avoid them. Their theory is that my performance with the DC donors has him worried about possible momentum, and thus he has brought me here to talk me out of running. He's talking about Chuck Schumer. And if that doesn't work, he'll try to find a way to push me out of the race. They all tell me to stand my ground, give away as little information as possible, and promise nothing. The advice is good, but tempered a bit by the fact that they all want me to not mention their names due to possible retribution. So let's get to the meeting. The meeting is in the Democratic Senatorial Committee building, a drab, depressing row house. Row house across the stretch from the Capitol. Rules prohibit political business in the hallowed halls of Congress, and thus the true nitty-gritty party talks take place in old, cramped buildings such as this. A little more than 20 minutes late, the senator rolls in and greets me with a big smile. So, you are this Matt Jones I have heard so much about. Again, this is Chuck Schumer meeting with this Kentucky sports host who was thinking of running against Amy McGrath. He points me in the direction of his office upstairs, and we walk towards whatever fate awaits me. I look behind me as I move towards the step, and the young man working at the front desk makes eye contact and gives a quick smile. So, sports radio, Chuck Schumer says. How did you get into that? So I'm going to skip around. The change in topic loosens Schumer up, and he becomes much more casual. He asks about my stances on issues, concrete proof that the process for Senate race is more substantial than my experience with the House, then says he would like to ask me some political questions if that's okay. I had been warned about this prior to the meeting. Schumer likes to feel out potential candidates by quizzing them. If I could find it. He quizzes them on the ideology of famous politicians. He uses it to get a sense of your political acumen. He gives potential candidates a list of names and says, if 1 is Jesse Helms and 100 is Paul Wellstone, where would you put these people on the ideological scale? He then reads off a list of names from Hillary Clinton to Mitch McConnell to Elizabeth Warren to Ted Cruz and gets your opinion. I give him my percentages, Hillary Clinton 70, Mitch 20, Warren 85, Cruz 5, and they seem to correspond to his. He asks where I am on the scale, and I say 60. A number that also seems satisfactory. We move on to talking about Kentucky. I tell him about this book and the plan to visit all 120 counties in the state. He's shocked to learn that I'm going to visit everyone in 10 weeks, noting that he hits all the counties in New York once every 2 years, as opposed to Mitch McConnell, who visits one county every 2 years. He asked me how I would go about winning if I were a candidate. To win in Kentucky, any Democrat has to win Louisville and Lexington big, compete well in northern Kentucky, and then cut the margins in rural parts of the state. What I believe I could do differently is actually win in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. I am from there, have a strong connection to the area, and understand the issues important to them. If a Democrat could win the mountains, it changes the whole political calculus of the state. McConnell is particularly vulnerable there because of his poor record. I could tell Schumer is intrigued. He cuts right to the chase. What about Amy McGrath? Can she do the same thing? No, she can't, the sports radio host says bluntly. The launch of her campaign was horrific. No one knows what she stands for, and she is running for office by trying to avoid tough stands and align herself as more favorable to Trump than McConnell. That is an insanely stupid strategy that no one believes is authentic or real, and if she utilizes it, she will lose by 15 points or more. He asks how I would deal with Trump's popularity, and I say, I think Kentuckians respect authenticity and honesty. I will say to Trump voters what I always say, on the issues we agree more than we disagree. We all want better education, healthcare, and workers' rights. The only difference is I don't like Trump and you do. That's fine, but we both don't like Mitch. To get to the point, Schumer, so this guy says, look, if you don't mind me being real, here's the deal. You guys picked Amy McGrath not because you thought she could win, but because you knew she could raise a lot of money and would be a big help for your national ticket due to her impressive background. You don't think anyone in Kentucky can win, so why not pick her? I get it. But the reality is Mitch McConnell is beatable, and you guys are too stubborn to realize it. You need someone who can relate to Kentucky and has a chance of convincing those Republicans who like Trump and hate McConnell to vote Democrat. I could do it. Schumer was taken aback. He responded quickly, "We have not endorsed her, and I haven't told anyone they couldn't work for you or not support you." He later admits, Schumer then looked at me and said, "Well, honestly, I kind of hope you do it. We need more people like you in the party, and even if you don't run, I hope you will keep active." He shook my hand, and after more than an hour in the office, I left to fly back to Kentucky. Contrary to my expectations, Schumer wasn't there to blow me off. He was taking me seriously. I had to admit I liked him and his style. He was someone open to me talking to him directly, even if I did think he was slightly full of it. He knew McGrath wasn't working, and by not standing in my way anymore, I could now decide on a run free of the obstacles. They told me. Trying to find it. So Schumer, I can't find this section, but Schumer had conceded to this guy in the office that he agreed that McGrath's campaign launch was a disaster and that she likely wouldn't win. Yet, he poured in, and he got other Democrats to pour in $40 million to her campaign, according to this guy who is a Kentucky sports radio host and knows everything about Kentucky, the geographic, where you might be able to get votes away from McConnell. Basically, they were running her not to beat McConnell, but to help their national ticket. So we all know that progressives have been saying forever, Democrats are trying to lose. Is it possible Democrats are trying to lose? In this case, it seems Chuck Schumer was admitting almost a year before the primary that he knew the candidate he had chosen had a poor chance to win, but he was picking her anyway.
Which kind of, it doesn't, I mean, I know it's like the thought is that this is boosting Democrats nationwide, but I still don't get it. It's like these people don't, it's something that we know, but this puts it more starkly. These people don't have their fingers on the pulse of what's actually happening in this country or what people want or need. It's still baffling to me. I don't understand why they would run someone they thought couldn't win in any case. Amy McGrath is not, there's nothing, exceptional about her that they should be, throwing it all away for her.
Right. And the interesting thing is Amy McGrath had just lost a House seat. So right. You're excited about somebody who just lost for the House of Representatives, that she's going to crush it and then beat Mitch McConnell, who on surface in polls isn't the most popular in Kentucky, but is a huge political machine, similar to the Clintons, and generally speaking, has wiped the floor with moderate Democratic opponents, including the last one. I think her name was Allison Lunder Grimes, I think. So I think it's interesting because how many races like this are the Democrats basically running empty vessels, not thinking that they could actually win, but thinking that money will come in. My thing is, well, what's the point of the money if it's not going to help you win that race? And the only thing that I could think of, if you remember the Hillary Clinton joint victory fund, Biden has a joint victory fund with the DNC. Where does Amy McGrath's money go if she hasn't spent the whole thing? Where does all these losing candidates that get $40 million, where does their money go if they don't win? Back, I would assume, back into the Senate, whatever PAC, Senate Majority PAC, which then gets flooded into other races, and the Democratic and possibly Joe Biden's campaign, which, right. Call me cynical, that seems like a pyramid scheme to me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem, it does not seem okay. Our system of financing is so screwed up, and the fact that that they don't even care about winning in certain cases, yet they just care about the money. I don't know. it's a real mess, these Democrats.
Thank you for the super chat. Let me make sure I got you here. Davy Salt, $5. The,
Got $100 in the GoFundMe.
holy cow! The Democrats came up with their
Wow.
campaign strategy after watching the producers. I like that. Gina L9, $20. Thank you, Jordan and Jen. I live in Kentucky and I'm sick of McConnell and the entire shit show. Well, keep your fingers crossed because it looks like at the moment Booker is on pace to win. And at the moment, I'm supposed to be interviewing him on Monday. So hopefully they don't reschedule again. Thank you, Gerald Dick. Love that.
Amazing.
Love it. $100 in the GoFundMe. That is really, really appreciated. So we are now, what is that, 28 bucks from $110,000 raised, and we need it. Right now, we're trying to book a road trip that we've been telling you about. So, Jen, tell them about one person you've booked for the. What are we still calling it? The COVID depression? Oh no, a member on the members call the other night. A member said the all cooped up road trip. Yes. I think that's their case.
For young child's health. And so since then, it's been a real fight with the unemployment office there, which in Pennsylvania, it's been a disaster. I've been looking at all the stories. So she's gone a long time without income. And so we're going to speak with her, and that's just one of many stories we're gonna book.
Oh, no wonder. Jen, they couldn't hear you for a little bit of that, but now they can. So now they can. Just wonderful.
Okay. Well, I don't know left off, but
Basically, what Jen,
it's a woman who was fired from her job because she didn't want to work in her previous role as a nurse due to.
yes. So the point is, if you are in the East Coast of America, if you are in the Midwest of America, if you are in maybe the Southeast of America, other than Florida, no offense, not going there. Definitely, send us your stories. We are trying to interview viewers, activists, all you folks. What? Why can't they hear? Hold on. No, it's on you. Speak now. Speak now.
Okay, should I tell the story again? Basically, very long story short, a woman dealing with getting fired from her job for not wanting to go back to her previous role as a nurse, and then dealing with unemployment, which has taken months to get to her to support her family. So it's one of many stories that we're going to cover, and I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, I think they could hear you now. Hold on. Yes. So basically, what everybody needs to be doing is send us in your stories. If you are within driving distance of the East Coast, Midwest, Southeast, we want to interview you. So definitely, definitely, definitely. If you have economic pain, economic devastation, if your family has been suffering, some of you might have been hanging from a cliff before COVID hit, and coronavirus has really sent you off that cliff. We want to show the faces, the stories of you. We're going to do it as safely as possible. I'll be wearing a mask. We, unlike the government, will mandate that you wear a mask if you want to interview with us. We're unfortunately not going to be able to hug and all the wonderful things. We'll do it outdoor interviews. But we want to get out there and tell the stories of the suffering masses. Because to be honest with you, as Jen and I have been talking about, listen, the unemployment benefits are basically supposed to expire in less than a month. Most people haven't even been able to get those unemployment benefits. So the $1,200 crumb check is long gone. People haven't gotten a second crumb check. So this is why it's very, very important to get out there the true suffering of people. So if you have a compelling story, email us info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com.
I want to say too, I think a lot of people out there think maybe their story isn't important enough or sensational enough, but I want to really stress that if our reporting is about everyday people. So it's not sensationalized like what you see on mainstream media or whatever. If you or someone that lives in states like Pennsylvania, Kentucky, West Virginia, wherever around the areas that we might go to, or if you know people around the areas we might go to, or even if it's a story on the West Coast or whatever, email us. Maybe we can do a Skype interview. Maybe we can hit you on this road trip. But the point is that people are struggling due to COVID. And in one particular case, I'm trying to get someone from this company too. There's a cabinetry company in Pennsylvania that had real severe economic issues in 2019. So they had to cut a lot of their staff. And they finally kind of made their comeback. And then all of a sudden COVID hits. And they had to cut all of their staff again and only keep on 50 people under emergency kind of measures. So all of those people, hundreds of people are impacted by COVID. They're fighting for unemployment. So there are stories like that all across the country. So please email us info@statuscoup.com with any story that fits this kind of economic struggle with COVID, whatever you're faced with.
Yes, and let me give you the map one more time. Colin made it. So if you're in this general area, definitely hit us up because we want to interview you. You don't have to be a member to Status Coup. Speaking of, let me get the current member count. We're at 1,783. We had a great members call the other night. Jen was under the weather. You had a spider bite?
Well, I don't know what the cause was. I have a big spider bite on my side, but I felt very, very nauseous and dizzy for a few days. So I'm back now.
So definitely info@statuscoup.com. Whatever your story is, we'll look through it and hopefully we could connect. Moving on, and by the way, like the Status Coup mask, $25. Appreciate it. I wonder whose idea that was. Look at that. Anat has to take credit. Look at that. It was her idea. Very good idea.
It was. Excellent idea.
I don't know if we could take a poll in the super chat. If people want a Status Coup mask, maybe we'll order them in bulk. They are $20 for us to buy, so we would definitely need enough consumer demand before we get it for the masses. Jennifer?
Yeah. So I maybe I can contact the woman and see if she'll do kind of a deal so that we could pass them along.
Yes.
But they're great. You should hold up the side that has the stitching to the camera because I don't think they really got to see that close.
The stitching?
Well, it doesn't have to go in your face. You could just hold up.
Oh, hold on.
Just put the stitching close so they can see what it says.
There you go.
Very cool.
So let's move on to the next thing. Listen, hate to say it. I don't rule Trump out at all. Oh, by the way, just reminder, $28, just $28 from 110,000. So, hint, hint for the masses out there. Keep it coming in the GoFundMe if you can. Once we hit 110,000, then we're just $10,000 away from the goal. So, I don't rule Trump out completely, but the bottom line is it's looking very bad for Donald Trump. Right now, Joe Biden, it looks like he's even leading in a lot of polls in Texas, Arizona, quite a lot of polls. Thank you, Catherine Garrett, $10. And meanwhile, corporations got bailed out 100%. That is true. That is true. The corporate bailout is absolutely. That's why I have a United Corporations flag behind me. So we have to go into the assumption right now that Biden is going to be president. And I think that I found this very interesting, and it kind of merges with a few different things. But there was a political article basically talking about why Biden is rejecting Black Lives Matter's boldest proposals. I mean, he doesn't want to legalize pot, doesn't want to defund the police. He actually wants to give the police more money, talking about community policing, which honestly to me is just a bullshit term. It's just giving more money to the police. The police don't need more money to talk to their neighbors and be human beings. That's kind of the idea of community policing. I don't know why you need more money for that. So this political article has a few interesting things. So I'm going to read this part because it kind of merges into a few other things. Keep pressing that like button, by the way. We got 400 people watching. 292 of you have pressed that like button, so keep it going. I know some of you are saying puke, but I just have to be honest. It looks like he's going to win, so we have to deal in reality right now. Unless Trump does a 180, which is possible. So Biden's dismissing the social media left. Biden's advisors point out that racial justice is at the heart of why he's running for president. He has often said that Trump's 2017 comments praising very fine people at a pro-Nazi rally in Charlottesville is what pushed him into the campaign. Yes, we know this man, the father of mass incarceration, mass militarization of the police. Racial justice is his go-to. Quote, he's been very clear he wouldn't be running unless Trump were president, said Simone Sanders, the senior advisor to Biden. During the primaries, Biden bet everything on winning overwhelming support from African-American voters, who eventually reversed the near collapse of his campaign in the first 3 states. Biden's advisors were often less attentive and sometimes downright dismissive of certain obsessions of the social media left. The social media left, i.e., young people, millennials, the hundreds of thousands of people marching in the streets. That's pretty much the social media left. Yeah, there's older folk who are on social media, but Twitter, these kind of platforms are mostly young people, definitely Instagram. And we're going to talk about Facebook today, by the way. Biden did not discuss white privilege the way Kirsten Gillibrand did. He didn't endorse reparations or the legalization of marijuana when some of his chief rivals did. He stubbornly insisted that the two most important primary constituencies were political moderates and older working-class African Americans, two groups without much influence online. The Biden campaign's unspoken primary slogan could have been, "Twitter isn't real life." The cautiousness and skepticism has spilled into the general election. One way to think of the Biden campaign's navigation of racial issues is that he and his advisors care a lot more about addressing policy demands than they do about addressing cultural issues. Quote, there is a conversation that's going on Twitter that they don't care about, one Democratic strategist observed. They won the primary by ignoring all of that. The Biden campaign does not care about critical race theory, intersectional left that has taken over places like the New York Times. You could be against chokeholds and not believe in white fragility. You could be for reforming police departments and don't necessarily have to believe that the United States is irredeemably racist. So I think this is interesting, Jen. Mm-hmm. And actually, before I get your thoughts on it, I kind of want to play a clip from yesterday. Neil Bass, $4.99. Jen is such a daddy. I love y'all.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Are they talking about Call Her Daddy?
That's what I was thinking.
I hope that's a good thing, whatever it
Call
means.
Her Daddy is a very vulgar. It's like a sex podcast for women. I don't know if they're talking about that. I hope not.
I definitely follow the Call Her Daddy drama.
I mean,
but
I would
don't
say
know.
she's a mommy. She's always, she's very motherly and stuff. But hey, it's a compliment, whatever. Thanks for the $4.99, Neil. We appreciate it. But before I get to what I think, why I read this, and thank you very much, Anonymous, $20 in the GoFundMe, $8 away from 110,000. Holy cow! I believe in miracles. Let's play the clip from yesterday. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't see this because YouTube hides it when we're live. But we were live from, now they have Occupy City Hall in New York City, where at the moment, I believe there's over 1,000 people out there occupying a park next to City Hall, demanding that $1 billion be cut from the New York City police budget. Why that's pretty important is because New York City's police budget, literally $6 billion. Biggest budget in all of the country. Right now, within 3 or 4 days is the budget proposal date, where Mayor Bill de Blasio will be presenting a budget. So far, he has been extremely resistant to changing anything. And I'm not holding my breath for him to cut $1 billion from the police budget, but you never know. So I want to play this clip because I think it has something to do with the nonsense the Biden campaign is talking about. Let's take a look. Sorry if you saw it yesterday, but I think a lot of people didn't see it because a lot of people didn't actually see us live.
And here's how honey works. This is 3,000.
Hey y'all, my name is Amari Soulfinger, president. This bum ass mayor, this big old toad looking ass old head mayor. I really gotta say something. I read today that he's thinking about cutting tens of thousands of city workers, of community care workers, of healthcare workers. He's talking about cutting guidance counselors from the South Bronx and Brownsville. I'm gonna say it again. From the South Bronx, so y'all been in the South Bronx and Brownsville, he's cutting out counselors in the schools and laying off teachers. Like there hasn't been a pandemic that's been ravaging our black and brown community. So what I'm saying is, are you dumb? Like, are you dumb? Like, we haven't been in the street clear as hell about what we want. We want $1 billion, at least $1 billion from the NYPD. Why? Because it's my money, it's our money. I'm sick and tired of using your money for 2,000 cops. I don't need no cops to sit around and crush their candy and swipe on their Tinder and to park in my bike lanes and to crush my community and choke me out even though the whole world is watching. I don't need no more cops in my school treating me like I'm some inmate. I don't need no more cops playing basketball and then hemming me up on stop and frisk the next day. What I need is $1 billion at least from the budget, because it makes a lot of sense to me, and you must be dumb. Okay? We are not taking it anymore. We done called you, we done emailed you, you done tweeted, y'all don't got voicemail set up. It's okay, we gonna come find you on my street. Because whose street? Whose street? Whose street? So y'all go ahead. Y'all cops just sit and chat. Y'all don't want to wear a mask. That's fine, because we gonna take it to you. We not asking anymore. We gonna come and find you. We demanding $1 billion. No excuses, no flim-flam games. Oh, we gonna take a little money from here. We're gonna amend this. We're gonna get rid of undercover. We want the bread. We want the money for our communities. We want schools, we want housing, we want health care, and we want it now. And until we get it, y'all go ahead. They mess around. Mess around if y'all want to and vote the wrong way. Go ahead and pass the budget. We will turn up all summer because we're taking it back. We're not going back inside. We're waking up. Give me my money from my communities. Because it's not just about the violence where you put your knee on my neck. This is the subtle violence that y'all do all the time. This is divested from my communities. This is gentrification. This is the fact that my teachers are being laid off. This is the fact that I gotta pay for glue sticks and shit. You know what I'm saying? We want the money back. Cut it. So I'm tired. We saying defund the police, but today we're gonna uplift what we want. Say what you want. What do you want from that billion? I hear education. Shout out Piers 165. What else we want? Healthcare, counselors. What else we want? It's Christmas in motherfucking July. What do you want? That's right. Cut the police. Stop the nonsense. Is Nell here? Where's Nell? We need some chants, and I need my asthma pump.
So the reason I played that, Jen, is because, and again, I'm just keeping it real. People could be mad at me, but at the moment, things could change. You just have to go into the assumption Biden's going to win. Trump is self-sabotaging. He's not changing his tone. He's not changing anything. He's not going further to the left, which I thought he would, on economics. So under the assumption that Biden would win, what the Biden campaign, what I read to viewers about how they're more concentrated on policy than the social media left. They're more concentrated on policy than like what people on Twitter are saying. That is the Twitter left. Like, I've been covering these protests, and I've been careful to say, like, I don't want to be the white guy white-splaining what protesters should do, but I've been saying I think the one thing missing is the specific economic demands. Of course, number one has to be stop killing us, police brutality, but followed by the economic demands, because as that gentleman just said, it's the quiet racism of cutting schools, cutting food programs, this and that. Well, if Biden's campaign's view is, well, we're going to ignore the loud social media left, which, by the way, Black Lives Matter is heavily organizing through social media, and we're going to instead focus on policy. Well, you think that guy and the protesters I covered yesterday, you think they're down with the policy of giving, if Joe Biden is president, more money for community policing, not doing anything about marijuana, cutting prisons by 8.2%, whatever neoliberal foolishness is going to come out? Like, this movement is going to continue and get bigger into a potential Biden presidency. And I think they're confusing, like, I think they view that as the Twitter left and are not realizing that this is becoming more than just a police brutality protest. From the stuff I saw yesterday, they're going straight for the neoliberal order.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a really needed thing, is to realize police brutality has to be focused on. It's really, really important. But until the economic systemic suppression is addressed, nothing really is going to change. And Jordan, I sent you an article last night from Jacobin. It was like, beware the black corporations. That's not an exact title, but essentially it was like, beware. They very well could have titled it, beware the Joe Bidenification of these protests, meaning don't just accept how the corporations are putting up Black Lives Matter or a black square on their social media and accepting that as real change. People want to go far beyond that. We need to go far beyond that, and it has to happen. And Joe Biden and his ilk, they don't understand that. They see these young kids on social media and assume that, oh, they're just Bernie bros, they're just radicals. I don't think they really see that this is the power that this has. People are realizing that it's not just the surface oppression, it's things that white people especially have not realized has been going on since the start of our country. So I think Joe Biden has a lot of hubris. I think he's very out of touch with what's actually going on with these protests and the reason for these protests. So I don't know, you seem, Jordan, kind of like hopeful that these protests will keep going, and if Joe Biden does become president, I'm not so sure. I think a lot of people, especially older Black people, and again, we never want to tell Black people how to protest, but I think they'll be placated by, and in particular, I saw a tweet yesterday from a Black guy saying, the reason we want to vote for Joe Biden is because he was willing to take the second chair to Obama for 8 years. He was willing to do this. Like, he's clearly not a white supremacist. He clearly gets black issues because he was second in command to Obama. So I'm hoping that the fire continues. I do think it will among the young crowd, but I think there are a lot of issues at play here, and I'm hoping that if Joe Biden does in fact win, that the fire does continue, because these issues are it's so complicated, and it really the economics need to be addressed.
I mean, when you look at these protests, no offense to my older viewers, they're 75% people under 40. So I don't think people are going back to sleep. I actually think you have an even equal, if not better, boogeyman in Joe Biden as a potential president than Donald Trump, because of the crime bill, because of the tone deafness, still saying the crime bill has nothing to do with mass incarceration, disagreeing to defund the police, actually proposing to give police more money. He's not going to be for cutting the military budget, which I think Bernie is smartly putting on the table right now. I know some people want more than a 10% cut, but even to get a 10% cut in this environment would be a modern miracle. So let's start with that. By the way, big announcement. Woohoo! Just passed $110,000 on the GoFundMe. Kelly Elaine getting us over the mountain, $20. Thank you, Kelly, for your continued support. Lorraine, also $8. Jose, $8. Susan, $25. Holy cow. We're now at 110,061. By my math, that would be 9,900 and I don't know, 9,000 something dollars away from our ultimate goal. So yeah, hopefully a couple more weeks we could get there, because this money is going to go towards field reporting. We have been spending more money on advertising. We did just have a pretty big expense, the live view. We also had some pretty hefty data overage charges. Apparently, if you go live for 6 or 7 straight hours from Super Tuesday and other places, you go over your allowable data plan. But, it was worth it, because obviously on Super Tuesday, we wanted to be live as long as possible. We've been live, I think, not just Super Tuesday, but other times for like 4, 5, 6 hours, which added up past our data limit. So we had a hefty bill of like $12,000 between the new live view we purchased and the data charges, in addition to the advertising we've been spending. If you haven't noticed, we're finally growing a little bit, just past 83,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So I don't know. Maybe a man and woman can dream. Maybe 100,000 could happen by the fall. We'll see. That would be a dream come true if we could get to that 100,000 sometime in the fall. So I also want to show something, because I think there's an added aspect. Can't get in Bernie's head, and obviously there's been people criticizing Bernie. But Jen sent me this earlier, and this is part of what people were criticizing Bernie on during this pandemic. Obviously there was criticism of him. Oh, I missed a super chat too. Don't want to miss our folks in the super chat. Hold on. Jason Milton, $5. Jordan and Jen, what do you think about the House voting for D.C. statehood? Is this a good thing for Democratic representation for the U.S. 51st state? I think it's a good thing. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. You think Senate Republican want another state with a lot of black people voting? Sorry. I just don't see it happening, or Trump signing it. But I think it's a great thing. Why shouldn't D.C. be a state? I think D.C. is a bigger population than some states.
Yeah.
So I absolutely think it's a good thing. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I absolutely support it. I think it's a great thing. I think it's needed. It's been a long time coming. I always thought it was clever, cute that their license plates in DC say taxation without representation. Like, I always wondered why they allowed them to do that officially. But yeah, like Jordan says, it's not going to pass. So it's good it passed the House, which I guess isn't surprising, but it still feels historic. But Senate and Trump, no, it's not going to happen. Maybe it will eventually.
If Biden were president and the Democrats of the Senate, that would be maybe the one good thing. They would do it just for political reasons, because you would have another state. Probably the Electoral College would have to be, because obviously states get a certain amount of electoral delegates for the Electoral College, and D.C. is a very, very big, I don't know the exact population, but a very big black population. So politically, it would be good for the Democrats. So I want to, what I was reading, people criticize Bernie because you drop out, you do this hostage take video with Biden. You're saying all these nice things about Biden, but you're not utilizing your army, this huge army you had. I did a story on it. The email list, your Slack channel. Well, could be misreading that, but it looks like Bernie's getting the band back together. This is addressed to Jen. During our campaign for president, our historic grassroots movement, blah, 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 blah. Now more than ever, it is critical that we all stay engaged and involved in our communities. That's why we're so excited to announce that we will be opening our volunteer Slack to help continue coordinating and organizing for needed progressive change in this country. Slack is an easy way to blah, 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 blah. So why I'm bringing this up in the context of if Biden were president, Bernie's Slack had 70,000 active members. That's more than the Democratic Socialists of America, like national organization, which has been growing extensively. So if Bernie is reopening his Slack, which, Jen, you know more about Slack than I, but can be used for email marketing, digital organizing, phone banking, organizing phone banking, helping local campaigns, I mean, you name it. It seems to me he would be opening it now, not just for progressive things like ballot measures, maybe working, helping lift the Paula Jean Swearengins of the world in her race, if Charles Booker is officially the nominee against McConnell, but building out this progressive apparatus for if it is a President Joe Biden, and if he is a reincarnation of Obama, only worse with Jamie Dimon as Treasury Secretary and all these vultures coming in, it would seem to me, makes sense to me, that's what Bernie is doing. Not just to use it now, but to have his army activated if and when Biden becomes president and the inevitable happens and he gives the fucking bird to the progressives.
I am personally, as a human being, I'm the biggest Bernie stan that could ever be because of his policies. But I am really upset.
Don't tell Jimmy.
Oh, you have little Bernie. So mine's still in the box for collector value. But I have to say, I'm really, again, as a human being, a progressive human, I'm really irritated with Bernie and his campaign, whoever he has around him these days, that it's taken this long. Why on earth has this enormous Slack not been used already? It's been months since Bernie dropped out. Why hasn't he been using this to boost progressives all along? Why hasn't this been used for grassroots organizing all along? Why did it take until, I received that email yesterday because I was in the volunteer Slack to monitor it. Why did I just receive that yesterday and it hasn't been utilized all along? So I like there's a lot of criticism to have with Bernie right now that a lot of momentum that people had could have been used and wasn't. It's good. I can't criticize that now they're opening it back up. That's a good thing. But if people are out of the habit of doing something, there were people who the first thing they did was check that Slack every single day. There were people who had those notifications turned on their phone, and they were religious about checking those, doing the action items that the Bernie team had for them. Why was that stopped? It's great that it's going to be used now, but a lot of the momentum they had is gone.
Right. I can't answer that. And, I got some grief for the piece I wrote on statuscoup.com. Yes, we have a website. Go there. Sign up as a member if you're not a member yet. Why didn't this work? I just put the member number up. Hold on. Go sign up there as a member. We're now at 1,783 Status Coup members. Yes, we've been losing our members because of the economy, but still going strong. And this is how we grow for the long term. That's one of the reasons we want to get back on the road, because in general, we tend to grow more paid members monthly when we're out in the field doing the in the field reporting. Nobody really is doing. So you could join us as a member, statusquo.com/join. If you missed the members call, Jen, we post it on demand after too, right?
Well, typically we don't, but we can. It's recorded, so I can post that.
Yeah. It was just me because Jen had a spider bite, but I said a lot of crazy shit, so it's entertaining.
So I won't watch it, or otherwise I'll probably get
Yeah. But you know what? I can't answer that. I've heard many different things from different people in Bernie's campaign. One was he was burnt out. Another was he's a human being. He's been he's been in this fight for 40 years, and he was on like the cusp of actually winning for once. So it's a huge defeat as a human being to be that close and lose. But either way, at least he is finally coming out of witness protection. We saw him on the Senate floor, putting the proposal together on the defense budget cut, now putting this Slack group back together. And for people that don't understand, or like, so what, he's putting together a Slack group, whatever. No, this is how you organize. And it is not easy, folks. I mean, Status Quo, we've been around 2 years. We're trying to build our email list. I don't even think we've cracked 5,000 yet. We have. Oh, we have? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
We're trying to build our text list, for example. If you don't know, sign up. Text COUP to 370-370. We keep saying it and saying it and saying it. I think we're just over 1,000. So it's hard to build lists. So the fact that he's got 70,000 human beings, not just like signed up, but that were actively like in the Slack group saying, what can I do? That's like, consider that just like turbocharged for campaigns that need help, on the ground progressive groups that need help, Black Lives Matter groups that need help, Latino groups that need help, you name it, within the law, obviously. I don't really know, like, is this part of Friends with Bernie? Is this part of our revolution? I think it would be part of Friends with Bernie, which is like a extended campaign committee. But the point is, this is what progressives need, because the only way you're going to defeat these establishment candidates is to out-organize. And I think in the case of Jamal Bowman, we saw, yes, it's about organizing, but you also need to capitalize on opportunities. I was saying yesterday, Jen, Bowman, unlike Bernie, frankly, he got an opportunity. Elliot Engel putting his foot in his mouth, saying, "Oh, I wouldn't ask if I wasn't had a primary," and he hit him. He did ads going at him for this. Justice Democrats went on the air for him, attacking Elliot Engel. He went negative, and it worked. And by the way, going negative then got media attention because the media covered Bowman going after Elliot Engel for, the out-of-touch comments of, I wouldn't be asking to speak if I didn't have a primary. And then there was a story about him not even being in his New York district during COVID. So you got to capitalize when you have opportunities, which Bernie didn't. Did he ever run any ads? Joe Biden telling Wall Street donors, I'll fluff your pillows, nothing's going to change? No. I mean, Biden gave him opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. So did Buttigieg. And he chose, we have gone over this. But I think it's a good thing that he's reestablishing this Slack group because it's not about Slack, it's about organizing. You have the bodies, you have the numbers, and on the local level, congressional, Senate, local, state assembly, state senates, you have this army to help various causes. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Jonathan Silva, £5. Puerto Rico is what Cuba would have looked like under the U.S. government. Somebody else asked, do I think Puerto Rico, Andrew Dreyer, $1.99. Shouldn't Puerto Rico get statehood too? And reparations for the disgusting response from Trump to their devastation. Puerto Rico should be getting a lot, but statehood is number one. It's kind of a joke that they have Congress people who can't even vote. Al Walski, $5 in the super chat. Appreciate it, Al. Let's see. Okay, still at 11,061. So, speaking of Jamal Bowman, Jen, I don't know if you saw this, but Erin Burnett interviewed him last night. This was painful. This was painful. So Jamal Bowman, and I said this the other day. Hey, Jen, do you think if Elliot Engel on election night was up 26 points, CNN would be careful and not declare victory?
Of course not. They would have been having a party with bazookas.
Okay, so let's watch, courtesy of, I think, Case Study, who watches CNN and MSNBC all day, and cuts clips, so we don't have to. Let's watch Erin Burnett's interview with Jamal Bowman. See if you see any patterns here.
Tell me why. The year, one of the top Democrats in Congress may be on the verge of losing his seat after a primary. Elliot Engel from New York, the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, currently trailing progressive challenger Jamal Bowman 61% to 34. He's down nearly 12,000 votes, and that's before absentee ballots. It's clearly an ominous sign for Engel. He has been in Congress since 1989. Chair of a committee, this is obviously a very, very major upset as these numbers come in, if this is what happens. Jamal Bowman is now out front, and I appreciate your time. Jamal, you've declared victory in an email to supporters. Obviously, as I said, because of those absentee ballots, we haven't yet formally projected a winner because there's so many absentee ballots. But you're very confident that you've won. Tell me why.
Well, the voters have spoken, and they've spoken throughout the district. When you look at our district, it's broken up between the Northeast Bronx and Lower Westchester County. And right now we're winning the North Bronx, by 29 points, and we're winning Westchester County about 23 to 25 points. So we're doing very well, and there's no statistical reason to believe that the mail-in ballot count is going to be much different than what we're already seeing.
And you fought hard, and you know, if you're the winner here, this is not the way a lot of people thought it was going to go. To state the obvious, Governor Cuomo endorsed Congressman Engel, Senate Majority Leader Schumer endorsed him, the House Speaker Pelosi endorsed him, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, the current chair of the House Democratic Caucus, senior member of the Congressional Black Caucus. What do you say to them tonight?
Well, you know, again, the people have spoken. You know, we worked really hard from the very beginning of the campaign to build deep, authentic relationships with people across the district, across race, across class, across religion, across age, again, from Co-op City to Eden Wall to Rye, New York. So we did that work very urgently in the very beginning. We had hundreds of volunteers working with our campaign, knocking doors, leafletting, making phone calls. So those relationships matter, and we've always felt confident that those relationships would transfer.
I find this interesting because a cable news segment, you're lucky if you get 5 minutes. She spends 2 minutes basically making it seem like, are you sure you won? You're only up by 25 points. Why should, what makes you think you actually won? Like, it's pretty much a mathematical impossibility. The absentee ballots are going to turn it completely around. And we have seen them literally call races. Bernie Sanders is down by 1/10 of a point in Iowa. It's over. It's over.
People are saying no sound. Or is it okay?
Yeah, it's delayed. It's their sound now. People are Bernie Sanders down 1/10 of a point. It's over. Progressives down. We've seen enough. We're calling it. I mean, it's just showing you that the media sways elections. I mean, they called it for Joe Biden in Texas when there were still people waiting in line for hours and hours and hours. It's showing you they will not do the same if it's a corporate candidate on the losing end.
They absolutely won't. And, we've seen this over and over again where, back when Bernie was still in the race, the hesitation to declare anything for Bernie or to declare anything for any progressive out-of-the-box candidate is really there. It's really present. It's there before the election. It's there after the election or the primary. So the fact that, like you say, like Erin Burnett took up the majority or almost the majority of that interview with hesitation, like, are you sure about this? Are you sure that this is a win for you or a positive thing for you? And she just can't handle the possibility that the people have spoken differently than the establishment has spoken.
Let's play a little bit more because it gets better.
and the protests, which also have defined so much of this race. You have joined those calling to defund the police. So I wanted to play for you part of a conversation I had with a Democratic congressman and House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn. He wants police reform, but here's what he told me about how he views the defund movement. Here he is.
History is instructive. I was there along with John Lewis back in the 60s and the early 70s. We saw how our movement got hijacked. We did a lot back then that led to where we are today. We would have done even more if we had not got overtaken by sloganary, burn, baby, burn, took off in this country. Be careful that we don't get hijacked this time like we got the last time.
What do you think when you hear his thoughts?
Well, defunding the police is about a reallocation of resources. It's about a demilitarization of the police and investing in public health, investing in housing, investing in jobs, investing in education and healthcare and environmental justice, investing in mental health supports. 50% of those killed by the police suffer from some mental or physical disability. What that means is we need to take a different approach, not a lethal approach. Defunding the police also means the end of sending military equipment to local police forces that they then use on people within the community. So it's not defunding as a rallying cry, but what it means is it's a reallocation of resources toward public health and other areas that we've neglected for quite some time.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you understand his point. Sometimes words can come to mean something to people that may not actually be what you're saying. I mean, you're saying reallocate. You're not saying you don't want police, I'm presuming, right? You're not saying you don't want police providing safety. You want them to be trained differently and behave differently. Going away?
Well, there's a role for police, but I push back on the notion that, police and safety have to go hand in hand. When we talk about safety, the number one thing that makes me safe and secure is making sure that I have food security, housing security.
Yes. Well, I appreciate your time and explaining it, and thank you so much.
See how fast she rapped when he started talking about food security and housing security? It was quite the thing. First of all, I like that Jamal Bowman doesn't start with the pleasantry as well. I respect Clyburn, blah, 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 blah. I don't respect Clyburn. Sorry. He's corrupt. Look at his donor sheet. He accepts a whole lot of money from Big Pharma. I know he's, black and respected in South Carolina. That's wonderful. Maybe he was more pure back in the day for progressive causes, but he's the one who, really put forward Biden, and frankly, Biden has done more to damage his community than most other politicians. So I like that Bowman isn't starting out with the kissing ass to the establishment. I mean, it's still early, so he could get there, but right now, he's not. The other thing is, again, Erin Burnett spends 2 minutes basically, disbelieving just math, and then as soon as he mentions, the point, we need to take money from the police and give it for food security, housing security, these kind of things, she just wraps the interview. What more can you say? Clearly, they're not interested in actually understanding why these types of candidates are catching on.
Yeah, they're not interested at all.
Hold on 1 second. Speak again. Yeah, go ahead. Hold on. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Hold on. Why does it keep cutting out? Talk.
Testing. Making sure that the sound is okay. Testing. Hoping the sound works. Test. If you guys can hear me, donate. GoFundMe.com/status-coup-news.
All right, go ahead, Jen.
Yes, guys, my mic is plugged in. Okay, it's the software.
Go ahead. Take it
Okay, so glad we're back. What I was saying is Erin Burnett spent so much time trying to catch Jamal Bowman and making sure his surge didn't seem like trying to downplay his surge. And then she spent the rest of the time trying to catch him in not understanding what his own movement is about. And Jamal Bowman knows exactly what this movement is about because he's been on the front lines out there on the streets with the people, often putting his body in between police officers who were not always nonviolent, putting his body out there in the front, negotiating, making sure that people's voices were heard while being present, while being eyes on the ground, eyes and ears and camera. He would be filming. He seems to be a person who walks the talk. He does what he's talking about. So for Erin Burnett to try to catch him in a lie or to back him in a corner and saying, okay, defund the police doesn't actually mean XYZ. Defund the police actually means this. Let me play Clyburn for you so I can back you into a corner here. But Jamal Bowman, he's good at what he does, but he's a man of the people. And he has truly been out there in a way that most politicians are not. He again put his body on the line, and that was disgusting what Erin Burnett did. That interview I had not seen. You can tell that these people have such a contempt for realness. They have such a contempt for progressivism and for any voice that actually speaks for the public.
Indeed, I agree. Sorry for the sound. For some reason, when I go to play a video, I won't get into the weeds, but when I play a video and then come back to our Skype, for some reason it keeps switching, Jen. I don't really get why. So, lastly, one more plug, Jen, for our road trip. We're trying to book more guests. So we got 400 people watching. We're trying to take a road trip next week. You could be one of our guests. So definitely email us, info@statuscoup.com. That's info@statuscoup.com. Right now we got, I believe, one person booked for that trip. So we're going to be driving through the East Coast, Midwest, Southeast, wearing masks, of course, being responsible, socially distant, all that good stuff. It's going to be called we're going to call it the All Cooped Up road trip, the all cooped up road trip, COUP for cooped. And the goal is to interview people about their experiences with COVID. Mostly from the economic angle. We want to show the pain that people are going through economically. If you have struggled to get your unemployment, if unemployment even hasn't been enough for you, if you've had your hours cut, if you've been furloughed, if you've been threatened, if you don't come back to work, even though it's still not safe in your area, you're going to get fired. I've heard people have been fired because they wouldn't come back to work when they didn't think it was safe enough. Basically, we want to know what is your economic story that we're not really seeing featured in the corporate media. More than likely, you guys were already hanging from by a cliff before COVID started, and this really put you off the cliff. So right now we got one person booked. Loosely, we're going through Pennsylvania first, and then we'll see, maybe go through West Virginia, Ohio, Tennessee. Obviously, we'll be monitoring which states have severe increase in COVID cases, because we don't want to be driving through, hot zones, so to speak. But we got to get back in the field, do what we do best. Thank you, Mr. Methuselah, $20. Always a pleasure to watch your show. You folks do one of the best analysis of politics and current events. Thanks. But Mr. Methuselah, don't, by the way, thank you. Don't forget, we don't just sit on our behinds and do analysis. We are out there in the field. I was live yesterday at Occupy City Hall. Jen's been reporting from D.C. protests. Obviously, we were on the campaign trail. So we appreciate the kudos for analysis, but we're trying to do a lot more and get out there as best we can. So definitely, if you have a story, even if you don't think your story is that compelling, send it to us, info@statuscoup.com. That's info@statuscoup.com. And we will get back to you and maybe show up and interview you. You have to be wearing a mask, and we're definitely going to want to do it outside as opposed to inside. Jen, why should people submit their stories to us?
That is what Status Coup is all about. We're not about reporting the same things that everyone else is reporting. While we love it and we do it and it's important, we're not about sitting in a studio and analyzing. Our motto is literally giving the microphone back to the people. There are so many stories out there that go untold. There are so many people out there who are struggling and who have compelling stories and that people need to hear from. And we exist so that those stories are told. And, that's one of the things we keep stressing about this road trip that we're planning on doing in early July. That even, people might not think that their everyday story or whatever is important, or they might not think that what they're struggling with is a signifier of something much more, but it is. It's, if you are struggling with something, or someone is struggling with COVID and unemployment, and maybe you're on hold with the unemployment office for hours upon hours, and it's just part of your life right now, what you're dealing with. But that is a story, and there are others who are going through the same thing. So that's what we are all about. So we really encourage you, if you or someone else is in the area that we're talking about, then please, info@statuscoup.com. Maybe some groups that are working with people struggling with COVID economic situations. Maybe you've seen something on social media. Please send it to us, because we really want to plan this trip out. We'll do some spontaneous things, but we really want to have some things set up that kind of speak to, some interviews set up that speak to the larger issues that are going uncovered.
Don't worry, Kelly Elaine. We're not going to ask for last names and exact locations so that the CIA and FBI can't follow us. But
Yes.
Thank you for your concern. Thank you for the super chat. Proud Foots, $27. Your reporting is a valuable resource. Keep up the good work. We appreciate it. And it's always remarkable. Like, we're the only ones doing this. I just don't get it. I mean, yeah, Unicorn Riot and some other outlets to a certain extent, but on a consistent basis, there's very few people covering these economic controlled demolition of the middle class. If they're I don't even call it the middle class anymore. The controlled demolition of human beings. How about that?
Yeah.
So we are happy to do it, and we are very, very appreciative that there's an audience who not only needs it, but demands it. And thank you for the GoFundMe. Hala. Appreciate it.
Yay.
What was that? $25. So we're now 110,086. So we've passed $110,000. Hopefully this weekend, if you got a couple bucks, you could chip it in. I do believe I'm going to take Sunday off. Going to the beach tomorrow. Going to have a couple cocktails. Sunday, maybe spend some time on the island with Rusty, my dog. So Sunday, unless something breaks, unless something big breaks. Yes, shout out to Rusty. So definitely keep it coming in the GoFundMe. And yeah, we'll be back on Monday. Thank you guys for watching. And anything else I'm missing, Jen?
I don't think so. Just know that this trip that we're going on is costly. So if you have, spare change or any ability to help us at all, please help us get out there and tell people's stories. GoFundMe.com/status-coup-news, or you can become a member of Status Coup for as low as $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join. Also, we have, I don't remember what day that was, but Jordan tweeted out one day and then played on air one day our amazing model Anat showing a tote bag, a Status Coup tote bag. So if you want some Status Coup swag, it is available. Status Coup beach towels, Status Coup shirts, Status Coup everything, phone cases, statuscoup.com/store, and get yourself some swag, and that also helps our reporting.
Yes, let me show it off for you folks here. Hold on. So you got the shirt there, the tote bag, a little coffee mug or whatever you drink in the morning, yoga pants, iPhone cover, pillowcase, I think that is, poster, all good stuff. So here's the link. Go run, get it now. And yeah, we appreciate it. Unicorn Riot doesn't have a live chat. Feedback is 50% of live streaming. I agree. I like Unicorn Riot. I don't think they go around.
Their space, we're at a different space.
Right, exactly. So thank you all. We will talk to you on Monday. Peace out.
Bye-bye.